Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian. I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope all of you have had a great week and you're looking forward to a fantastic weekend. In this class, students, we are looking at IELTS reading. This reading passage is about earthquake readiness, meaning being prepared for an earthquake. And there might be some valuable information for some of you here, especially if you live in areas of the world that are prone to earthquakes. Welcome, Anna. Nice to see you, Carolina. Good to see Nematulayev, Sonia, Mina. So many students in the class ready to learn. Fantastic. Students, this lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Visit us there for general IELTS. Check us out at gieltshelp.com. These are our websites that power these live classes. Our academic IELTS website looks like this. It's got the blue background. To join our premium IELTS package, click this big red button. That's right above my head there. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. And it doesn't cost a lot. And it will definitely help you get more band scores for your IELTS exam. For the general IELTS, gieltshelp.com, green background. Again, click the big red button there to join the premium version of the course. We're an IDP affiliate. We're a British Council partner. I'm a British Council agent. We're an IELTS test registration center. You are in great hands with us. Students, we've got apps for you that link to these websites, Academic IELTS Help and General IELTS Help from your app stores. Use them, link them to the websites. If you're interested about true, false, not given questions in the reading, definitely check out this blog. This blog will give you a great strategy on what you should do. This blog is free. It's on our websites just to get you an idea of the great materials that you can find there. Instagram is IELTS_AE-help and GIELTS help. We've got vocabulary, reels, videos, schedules there for you. And if you have questions, just send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com or admin@aehelp.com. We've got this reading class for you right now. This is a subscribers chat class. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's free. Also, you can purchase the premium products through the YouTube channel or websites. You can check out through Shopify, through YouTube as well. If you do that, make sure to send us an email so we can activate your accounts. Tomorrow, we're going to do a speaking part 2 with our members, the Q card, and then there will be a speaking part 3 for everybody. That class will be on our website. So again, on the websites, you've got lots of tools. You've got your My Student account, and you've got this join live class. We're going to use the website in a few moments to do reading with our viewers. We're going to use the student partner speaking. That's right above my head there. And we'll get to that in just a few moments. So again, lots and lots of goodies for you there. Make sure to register. Registering for the website is free as well. Okay, so let's get going. The live websites from our, the live classes from our websites are also available on YouTube for our members. Here's a link to the one that we had on Wednesday. You can check that out. And let's get into reading strategies. So here, we're taking this passage from our second exam book. The topic here is earthquake preparedness. So I think many of you know the word earthquake. It's when the ground shakes, the buildings move. It's really scary. It's a natural disaster. And the word preparedness, it's the noun form of the word prepared, to be ready. So the very, very first step for your reading strategy is always pay attention to the title, okay? and think about what you know on this topic. So when we're dealing with earthquake preparedness, what comes to mind for you? So what do you think about? Okay. What do you think about? So when you hear this, and interact with me, everybody. This class is interactive. It's not just a lecture. That's the beauty of these live classes in the chat. We're here to discuss with each other. Elizabeth says, it means to be able to take action when that happens. Okay, Elizabeth, to take action when an earthquake happens. Sure. And what kind of action, Elizabeth? Like, what can you do, right? Alexander, very good. Alexander Vladimirov says, look for shelter. Look for an emergency kit, right? Alexander, I think you might be thinking of a first aid kit. This is a very important word in English, okay? This could save your health and potentially even a life. So first aid kit, okay? First aid kit is supplies, medical supplies in an emergency. For example, I have a first aid kit in my car because in Canada, it is the law, and if it is not in the vehicle, a policeman can fine me. Right? It's true. Know that. If you're traveling to Canada or the United States, every vehicle must have a first aid kit. It is the law. Okay? Of course, that's in case of a car accident, but you never know. It could be an earthquake. Use the first aid kit from your car. Elizabeth says, earthquake preparedness means you have supplies like water, flashlight. Absolutely. Al Katoon says, earthquakes are sudden and violent movements of the earth. Indeed. Okay. Ranuta says, prepare an emergency bag with necessary items like a first aid kit. Exactly, Ranuta. Very good. Okay. Elizabeth says, have blankets, coats ready. Yes. Okay, great. So that's what you want to do as you're getting into your reading. Look at the title, think about what you know, because that will help you understand the reading passage and it will help you answer questions. Okay? All right. Now, let's look at the questions. So after we look at the title, we can look at the questions. In the questions, we have yes, no, not given. This is kind of like true, false, not given. So do the following statements agree with the claims of the writer? If they agree, it's a yes. If they disagree or contradict, so it's the opposite. If it's then it's a no. If we have no idea what the author thinks, even if it's true or false, then it's not given. Okay? Now these questions, don't read them before the passage. There's no point. You could have a not given, false, not given, false, false. Maybe none of them are true. Then you're just reading a lot of useless, confusing information. So no point to read these before the passage. Okay? In fact, it's a bad idea because they're confusing. Now, we have some more questions here. And again, this is reading, everybody. So read with me, read aloud. Complete each sentence with the correct ending, A to G below. So this is completing sentences. Now here we have 4 questions, 18, 19, 20, 21. And then we have 7 choices, A to G. That means 3 of those choices are wrong, 4 are correct. We have no idea which ones are wrong, which ones are correct. So wrong choices confuse us. We do not read that. Okay, the only part of this question we are concerned about are the statements 18 to 21. So we read those. The first step after waiting out aftershocks is to: poor construction results in buildings that offer something. Even otherwise well-constructed buildings may be at risk because buildings along the west coast of North America and Japan are designed to. All right, I have some ideas, but I'm just realizing that, okay, from here, what do I get? Okay, I know that this passage will tell me about the steps that we should do after an earthquake. I'm sure that this passage will tell me about buildings and the way that buildings are constructed or made for earthquakes. It will give me examples like North America, Japan. That's all the ideas. That's what I need to get from these questions. I don't start to look at vocabulary or other pieces, just kind of the main ideas here. All right, everybody following with me so far? Okay. No Dear Beck says, I cannot see you, sir. Let me know if you can't see me. Okay. All right. Now, we've got one more question. Oftentimes, each reading passage will be followed by 3 different questions. There are 11 question types possible for the reading section. Again, students, when you go to your My Student account, when you join the premium package with that button, and you log into your My Student account, you go to your interactive course, you go to the reading section, and then you go to the different parts here. Then you will see the question types, and there's a list of all the questions that you can see. And it will tell you which ones you should read before the passage and which ones you should not read before the passage. So here you see that there are matching information, category table completion, summary completion. That's the one we're looking at right now. There's filling in the blanks, finding paragraph headings, matching sentence endings. So you can see all of the different ones in your course. Okay, so pay attention to that part of your course, and then you can get an idea of all of the question types. So here we have the summary completion. This type of question, as you saw in the course, you should read before the passage because it paraphrases a part of the passage. So all of this information is somewhere in the passage, and this will help you to understand the passage better when you read those parts. So you should read it. Okay, so read with me here, everyone. Here we go. Earthquake planning. And immediately I know that there will be a part of this passage that deals with earthquake planning. Planning is incredibly important for surviving an earthquake. They must make sure in advance that they have appropriate something to survive after the event. Something is the most critical resource after an earthquake since municipal sources may be damaged and unavailable. Conversely, something will be less scarce because it is less likely to be compromised in an earthquake. Some measures to take in preparation for an earthquake include storing medical supplies in a safe place, not hanging picture frames above your bed, and identifying something in your home and workplace. In the event of an earthquake, try to call for help using your phone, or if you are trapped, try something on a pipe. Now, I didn't look at the answers. I didn't try to fill in those blanks. I just wanted to get an idea of what is in the passage. Don't try to figure out answers before you read, students. That's a surefire way to get answers wrong. Okay? So if you have some ideas, great. Save them. Okay? This is another very important tip. All right? So do not answer questions before you read the passage. Think about the answers and save them in your head. until you finish reading the passage. Now, I know some people are like, well, but I can't read fast enough and there's not enough time. Students, if you cannot read fast enough to finish the passage and answer the questions in 20 minutes, you have to work on your reading fluency and comprehension. Little tips and tricks that you might see online and people telling you, oh, just skim read for the answers, will not work for high band scores. End of story. That's fact. You cannot skim read for a not given statement in the true, false, not given. You cannot skim read for sentences that have 100% paraphrasing, meaning they use completely different words in the passage. You cannot skim read for information or questions that require a global understanding of the passage, and there are many of those. So you can't just use skim reading and hope that you will do well. It does not work, okay? Especially not in the academic passage and not in the third section of the general reading, okay? All right? So you have to read the passage, and we're going to do that together. We're going to go back to the start of the passage with the title. Again, we're going to jump back to the website. Like I said, the website powers these live classes. So if you're enjoying these live classes and you're like, yes, I want lots more reading like this, lots more information like this, consider joining the full course. Click that big red button. Do yourself a favor. Save yourself time, money, and a headache. Not to sit the IELTS 2 or 3 times. For this one, we're going to go to our audio CDs. Our website also includes audio for the reading, so we're going to use that for our first reading right now, everybody. Here we go. Just listen. You should hear the audio on your end as well. I'm sharing it with you, and this is our 5th exam, so we're going to jump to our CD5. I mean, look at all that audio. All right, and this is going to be reading passage 2, I believe, but I might have to, we'll see.
Why do tortoises? Mirages.
Earthquake preparedness.
That's the one. Third time's a charm, as they say. Okay, so I'm going to play this. Read with this person. Ideally, students, in a perfect world, you should reach a speed like this person to read these passages for the IELTS, and you definitely want to have this speed for your university studies in English reading. Okay, here we go, everybody. So earthquake preparedness. Let's do it.
Earthquake preparedness. Of all natural disasters, earthquakes are likely to be the most devastating. Though earthquakes, most of the time, are only weak tremors which are not even strong enough to knock picture frames off walls, at their strongest, earthquakes can destroy entire cities, killing thousands and displacing millions. For regions of the world affected by earthquakes, being prepared for the big one is crucial to surviving when it eventually occurs. Earthquake preparedness takes 3 forms: education, construction, and planning. Those who grow up in earthquake zones are very familiar with so-called earthquake drills. These exercises take place multiple times each year in school, and students practice the appropriate steps to take in the event of an earthquake. The first step is to take shelter under a strong structure. In school, this is often a wooden desk. In the absence of such furniture, a door frame is recommended, as this is the strongest structural part of any room. Next, drop to the ground, cover your head and neck, and only move if there is a safer place to seek shelter within short crawling distance. Keeping your head and neck covered are of critical importance, since falling hazards are one of the biggest dangers in an earthquake. Once the shaking has stopped, people are advised to wait for any aftershocks to occur. Many deaths and injuries occur during aftershocks, smaller earthquakes which occur shortly after the initial quake, so staying sheltered is recommended for up to 10 minutes after the main event. Once sufficient time has passed, people should get to open ground, taking care to avoid falling hazards, especially glass structures such as windows. One of the biggest factors that affects the number of casualties in an earthquake event is the quality of the construction of buildings that people work and reside in. In areas with poor construction standards, these buildings provide little to no protection against earthquakes. In the major earthquake that occurred in Haiti in 2010, poor construction standards were to blame for a large proportion of the casualties. While other countries have higher standards, often these standards are not designed with earthquakes in mind. Many buildings may be built to an otherwise high safety standard, but be almost as defenseless as the Haitian buildings when facing a strong earthquake. In high-risk earthquake zones, all buildings must be constructed with an eye to earthquake preparedness. Buildings in areas such as Japan and the west coast of North America are constructed to shift a certain amount along with an earthquake. This elasticity allows the building to survive the quake. Instead of shaking and being knocked down, they are shaken and return to their original place. This type of construction greatly minimizes the risk to inhabitants in the event of a major earthquake.
Read along.
The final form of earthquake preparedness is planning. People in high-risk areas must have a plan for what to do in the event of an earthquake, and they must plan beforehand so they have appropriate supplies to survive in the initial days after the event. The most important resource after an earthquake is water, and it is recommended people keep enough water for a week, approximately 28 litres per person. Food will not usually be difficult to come by, but water, which relies on municipal delivery systems, which are very likely to be compromised by the quake, is precious. Other critical items such as medical supplies and personal documents should also be stored in a safe place so they can be retrieved after the event. Other measures which are useful to prepare for an earthquake are keeping a flashlight and whistle next to your bed, not hanging falling hazards such as picture frames over your bed, arranging a family contact person outside of your area, arranging a family meeting place, and identifying both hazards and refuge areas within your home, school, and workplace. In the event that you are trapped after an earthquake, do not struggle or kick up dust. Instead, try to make sounds such as blowing on a whistle or tapping on a pipe so that rescuers may locate you. If you have a mobile phone, use it to call or text for help. Earthquakes can be deadly. All the preparedness in the world will not help if a sufficiently large earthquake hits the wrong spot. What can be done, however, is to improve the chances of survival through education, appropriate construction, and diligent planning. Countless lives can be saved.
Why do tortoises...
All right. So that is the reading by a British man from the website. Again, students, use those reading passages and audio from the website. It's really helpful for your pronunciation, fluency, reading comprehension, and many, many other parts of your English learning. So make sure to use them. All right, we're going to use the website further here. I'm going to get the help of our viewers to read. We will discuss each paragraph. So we're going to work on comprehension, and I'm going to show you how to quickly and effectively understand the text that you are reading through understanding the structure of an essay, kind of like the task 2 structure that we just covered in the last class when we looked at computers controlling humanity, or the rise of the machines. So using structure, or an understanding of structure. Basically, IELTS passages are essays. They're just longer essays than your task 2 essay. They have more body paragraphs. They're more developed, but they are essays nonetheless. So these are either persuasive or expository essays. By the way, students who are in these classes regularly, this essay on earthquake preparedness, what type of essay is it? There are four main kinds of essays, right? Descriptive, narrative, expository, persuasive. What type of essay is this one? Just quick pop quiz. Let's see how many of you are really paying attention in these classes. So what type of essay is this? Earthquake preparedness. Okay. Carolina says it's narrative. Elizabeth says expository question mark. Okay, let's get some affirmative answers here where somebody says this is the type of essay and I know it is. Kavita says it's a descriptive essay. Mariam says it's a descriptive essay. Ranuta says, can you tell me the difference? Ranuta, if these words are new for you, you have to research them. It's very important. These are very important topics taught in middle school in a lot of Western countries. Okay? All right. It's a bit scary that I'm not seeing a lot of the correct answers here, everybody. This is very, very clearly an expository essay. Okay. This essay seeks to explain and expose the steps needed to survive an earthquake. Okay? All right, it's an expository essay. There are a couple ways that you know that. I mean, simply put, you know that because you can logically see that, oh, okay, the goal of this essay is to explain to me, the reader, of what I should do or think about to get ready for an earthquake, especially if I live in an earthquake zone. And by the way, students, as recent history has shown, any place in the world can be an earthquake zone. That earthquake that happened in Croatia 3 or 4 years ago, there was a 7.5 or something. They thought that was not an earthquake zone, right? People are like, oh, it's not an earthquake zone, but earthquakes happen. So we live on Earth. All of Earth kind of moves. But anyway, this passage, it tells you about what you should do during an earthquake. How does it do that? It basically gives you the context. This is an earthquake. This is what happens during an earthquake. And then it tells you the steps. Preparedness takes 3 forms: education, construction, planning. It's like step 1, step 2, step 3, right? And then it even says that the first step is to, anytime you see that kind of language, take shelter. Now, second person voice in an essay is when it says something like, you should do this, you should do that. So if I look for the word you, right? Cover your head. Okay? Do not put picture frames over your bed. So the word you appears multiple times. Using you in essays usually is in expository essays. Okay, so expository essays seek to expose and explain. Identifying what type of essay you're looking at can help you to answer questions and understand what you're reading. Okay, everybody got that? Yes? So you have to understand this and be able to identify it. You must be able to understand the basic concepts of narrative, descriptive, expository, and persuasive essays or writing. Okay. Identifying this in the reading can greatly improve your fluency, comprehension, and ultimately your score. Okay, everybody got that? And if you're going like, well, why? Why is that going to help me that I know that it's expository? Well, because you know that, okay, this essay is explaining a process or a procedure, exposing a situation, and the questions are going to deal with the process or the steps that are involved in that situation. And when we're talking about a process, we're talking about what is the process, why is it important, how do you do it? And if you think about that, you can see that in the questions. Okay? Maksud says, yes, I'm getting it. Mercy's going, okay, I'm taking some notes here. Absolutely. And when you write your essays, you have to be very clear on what you're writing. A narrative, descriptive, expository, or persuasive. Okay? Super important. All right. So again, students, you're going to help me here. And we're going to do that with volunteers. So go to the website. Again, for those of you who are just joining or you missed it, this is aehelp.com. Okay. Go to aehelp.com, create an account. You can create a free account with the green demo button. If you're like, freezy, schmeezy, I don't need a free account, I'm going to pay this guy and just get the goods, then click the red button or get it through Shopify, the YouTube channel. And then go into your My Student account. In your My Student account, click on this blue button, the Student Partner Speaking. It's just ways above my head there. Carolina just put the instructions in the chat. Thanks, Carolina. You're awesome as always. Alexander says easy peasy. Yes, indeed, Alexander. Okay, click on Student Partner Speaking. Click on I accept, meaning you're going to volunteer, play nice, learn lots. Okay. And then you're going to see some users in here. You'll see Uzman, Divya, Joe, Miriam, Elizabeth, Manikanta, Anna, and Devi. And then you see the little blue envelope. You'll find one next to my handle, which is master. You'll see me here. Okay, I'm logged in, obviously. Master. And then you click on that blue button and send me a message. Anna here has sent me a message. Can we see Anna's? Yes, you can on the screen. It's this little orange icon tells me that Anna wants to volunteer. So Anna will be our first reader. Are you ready to read? Anna is our first reader. Let's give her a shot at this reading. She is. Good. Okay, Anna, here we go.
Hello, Adrian.
Hi, Anna.
Good evening to you. I have PM right now.
All right. Anna, you are in the Ukraine right now. Am I correct?
Yeah, in Odessa, yeah. We have 9 hours in difference in time.
9 hours. So
Yeah.
you're in the evening. I'm still at 8 o'clock in the morning. Anna,
Great.
quick question. Is the part of the world where you live an earthquake zone? Is it considered an earthquake zone?
Yes, we are really close to Romania, and this last earthquake which Romania has, Odessa district really felt this, not the city, but the villages felt this earthquake for 3 degrees or some 2 or 3 degrees. They really felt a small earthquake like 2 months ago when Turkish and Romania was in a trouble.
So you had that experience just recently, right? How many months ago was that?
I think it was like in August, 4 months ago.
4 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary. I also live in an earthquake zone, of course, on one of the biggest, the St. Andreas Fault. So it's an important topic, right? It's important to know about this. Okay,
Yeah.
Anna.
And I'm living in tall building. It's 11th floor building, but like we bought a flat at the third floor because of earthquake. Like 6 years ago, it was 7. 7-degree earthquake in 2017 or 2018. It was really huge earthquake, and we didn't slept all night. All night we were on the street. I remember this
That's scary.
when I was at uni. Yeah,
In English, the correct way to express it is 7 points. 7 points.
7 points.
Yeah,
7 points.
not degrees. 7 points on the Richter scale.
Rectal scale. All right.
Richter. I think it's named after the person who figured it out.
Yeah.
So 7 points on the Richter scale. Yeah. Okay. So let's get to some reading. Are you ready, Anna? You should see the passage on the
Yeah,
screen.
I see the passage on the screen. I just muted YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah. Earthquake preparedness. Of all natural disasters, earthquakes are likely to be the most devastating. Salt earthquakes most of the time are only weak tremors, which are not even strong enough to knock picture frames or walls. At their strongest, earthquakes can destroy entire cities, killing thousands and displacing millions. For regions of the world affected by earthquakes, being prepared for the big one is crucial to surviving when it is eventually occurs. Earthquake preparedness takes three forms: education, construction, and planning.
Lovely. Okay, Anna, this is the introduction, right? It's the introductory paragraph, correct?
Yes, yes.
All right. The introductory paragraph for an essay usually has 3 parts. What are those 3 parts?
Um, it has hook, it has thesis, paraphrasing, and it has your opinion about your ideas.
You got 2 out of 3. Okay. So, yes, it has a hook, it has a thesis. The
Thesis.
third part is considered the background. Some
The
books or
yeah,
some
background.
teachers will call it the context. Okay. So, I use the word background. I like that term better, but you'll also sometimes see context as
Yeah.
the definition for
Co-
background. So, the
Context
context.
is more like understandable for me because background for me it's like history, it's dates, books, like background.
Yeah, debatable. But anyway, both are used. So if context works better, go with that one. But it's the context, right? It's extremely important that we can dissect or take apart the introduction into these 3 components, because understanding that gives us a lot of value, a lot of help understanding the passage, right? Also, Anna, I believe you have access to the premium version of the course. So,
Yes,
what
I
I
have.
recommend doing is one really great exercise that you can do is read the paragraph like you just did, and then listen to the British person reading the same paragraph and find some of the words that you're pronouncing incorrectly, and then pronounce it correctly, copying the speaker. So a couple words that I caught. One is in the second sentence, the though. It sounded like you said thought, and it's though
Those,
earthquakes. The other
those,
one, yeah, the other one that I caught comes in the start of the third line. It's knock picture frames. It's a silent,
knock,
yeah, it's a
knock.
silent K. So it's knock. Okay, knock means to, like, like knock on a door, and it's knock off. To knock off means to remove or displace. So, so that's a really fantastic way to just use that material to improve the pronunciation and understanding of those. Okay, Anna, question. What is the thesis?
This series is about how about types of earthquake, from small earthquake, which can even like we can't feel really, even like pictures can falls on the floor from the walls, and for other earthquakes it can ruin cities and kill people. It's two type of earthquake. It was a thesis of this.
I like your
Kind
confidence, Anna, but I would have to mark you wrong on the exam for that, if that was the question. No, the thesis is always the points of discussion in the essay, right? And generally, just a good rule of thumb, it's not always true, but it's true 95% of the time. The thesis is going to be the last sentence of the introduction. So
Forms of earthquake: education, construction, and planning.
yeah, so that's the thesis, right? Can you read the full sentence?
Yes, definitely. Earthquake preparedness takes three forms: education, construction, and planning.
That's your thesis. Now, once we correctly identified that that's the thesis, what does that tell us? It tells us a couple of really important pieces, and it really helps us to save time and get correct answers. So, what does it tell us?
It tells us that the future paragraph will be about these three forms. B will be about education, C paragraphs about construction, and D about planning. It's like what paragraphs will be next. It's like
Exactly.
short
Yeah, exactly.
form.
Exactly. And usually in good writing, it will have the same order. So the first body paragraph will be something about the education of understanding earthquakes. The next one will be the construction, the buildings for earthquakes, and the following will be about planning. So it should follow that same structure. So it's kind of like an index. It helps me to index where information is in the passage. Okay, another question. What's the hook?
The hook is of all natural disasters, earthquake are likely to be most devastating. This is the hook.
Exactly. Do you think that's a good hook?
Yeah, I like this. It's really tells us this all hooks are dangerous. No, like it's really troubles for the world. This disasters means like it's catastrophic, and I like this.
Yes, exactly, Anna, right? So we know there are lots of natural disasters. So there are tsunamis, there are typhoons, there are a variety of fires, for example, floods. So there are lots of different types of disasters, and often they happen together. But here, the author really catches our attention by saying, like, look, I get it. I get there are lots of natural disasters, but the most dangerous of these are earthquakes. So the reader is really engaged. We're like, oh, okay, and I live in an earthquake zone. I got to read this, right? And then what's the background?
Background, it's about this type of earthquake. This some of them are really small and some of them are really strong and destroy cities, killing people.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And Anna, that's the definition, right? So basically, the author here is defining for us what an earthquake actually is. It's saying like, hey, look, there are lots of earthquakes and you won't really feel them. They're just going to maybe be a little tremor if you feel them at all. You're not going to usually feel this earthquake. So they're defining it, but they're saying just don't get too brave, because a big earthquake is extremely devastating. And then the author tells us in the background why it's important for us to pay attention, because it says that it kills a lot of people, displaces millions, right? Uses quantification, very effective. And then it even says that if you're prepared, you have a much better chance to survive. So it really brings the reader to the topic. All right.
What I really like about this introductory paragraph and also about a hook is this. I usually read sentence and I usually pay attention to the last two words. And the last word is called devastating, and for me it has negative meaning. And if I like, I am not expert of vocabulary, but I see like this suffixes this or I also like understand it's negative, and it helped me to understand the tone of writing, the tone of all paragraphs, passage, what it will be about, positive article or negative, and how to be prepared for this type of vocabulary.
Exactly. And just continuing on with what you said, the reader should understand that the tone of this passage is cautioning. It's warning, it's cautioning, right? So it's saying be careful, caution, right? So that's the tone of this. Anna, thank you so much for reading and helping me dissect that introductory paragraph.
Yes,
Super
thank
important.
it's keeping for me much more easier to understand the main idea of paragraphs, because when I started, like in June, I joined premium course in June. It was really hard for me to write sentence what about these paragraphs and A, B, or C. But now it's like my piece of cake, and I like to do this. I even like
Great.
this in matching headings. I do this. I write what about paragraphs about each paragraph, and after this I compare this my sentences with this list of headings. How they match my idea with these sentences of matching headings.
That is great exercise,
Yeah.
Anna. So I'm glad that it's working for you, and that's what it should do. And then you can carry that forward to your work in your school as well, right? It's the same idea. It's basic
Yeah.
principle
It's,
information.
yes.
Thank you,
Thank
Anna.
you so much.
Have
Thank
a
you
great
for
day.
giving me a chance. It was the first time when I was open a reading lesson, be a volunteer.
Awesome. That was great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Anna.
Great.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, that was Anna. Really good. Okay, students, I'm just going to do a quick page refresh here. My WebSocket closed, so I'm going to ask you to do the same. Just refresh your page so I can see all of you volunteer, and then send me a message. Say I'd like to volunteer. In the meantime, give Anna a thumbs up. I can see all of you doing that already. You know, it takes a bit of bravery to be a volunteer, and it's good. All right, Mariam. Mariam, I believe you just purchased the premium package yesterday. If that's the same Mariam, let's give Mariam a chance. Are you ready? Mariam, hopefully we can make a connection. Students, do make sure that your microphone is enabled for the website, your speakers are enabled. Make sure that you know, you try it with another student so that you can connect. Okay. All right. Mariam, I do not hear you, and sometimes that can be just the way that our connection's being established, depending on where you are, what country, or what VPN, or what routing you're using. So I'll circle back to you, just check your connection, maybe try a different browser, and I'll give you a chance in a few moments. I'm just going to make sure that it's not on my end. I'll give somebody else a chance as well here. Okay, let's check in with Azim. All right, Azim, if you're there, let me know. Dilfuza is asking, how can I connect to you? Dilfuza, Carolina put the instructions in the chat a little bit earlier. You can check that out. Okay, you have to connect to us through the website, through our website. YouTube does not have voice interface.
Hello, Mr. Adrian.
Hi, Azim.
How are you?
I am doing fantastic. How are you, Azim?
Thank you. I'm good too.
All right. Azim, you've volunteered a few times before, haven't you?
Yes. I'm starting to volunteer, to be volunteer more even.
Okay, that's great, Azim. It's good strategy. All right. I think usually you volunteered for the speaking classes. I don't remember if you volunteered for reading yet, though, right?
I didn't know you do volunteer in other part of IELTS. I thought that you do it only in IELTS speaking.
No, we do it in reading and sometimes in other classes as well. We want to interact.
That's good.
Works better,
yes.
right? All right.
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
Azim, I've brought up the first body paragraph for you on the screen. You should see it in a second or two. Whenever you're ready, go ahead and read that paragraph for me.
From those who started
exactly.
with...
Yes.
Okay. I didn't see it. I cannot see the first sentence.
Okay, I'll bring
I
it
have
down a
a
bit.
5 second.
Yeah, those who grow up.
5-second delay.
Yeah. You should see it now. I've pulled it down a bit for you.
Those who grew up in earthquake zones are very familiar with so-called earthquake drills. These exercises takes place multiple times each year in a school, and students practice the appropriate steps to take in the event of an earthquake. The first step is to take shelter under a strong structure. In a school, this is often a wooden desk. In the absence of such furniture, a door frame is recommended, as this is the strongest structure part of any room. Next, drop the ground, cover your head and neck and only move if there is a safer place. To seek shelter within short crawling distance. Keep your head and neck covered are of critical importance, since falling hazards are one of the biggest danger in an earthquake. Once the shaking has stopped, people are advised to wait for any aftershocks to occur. Many deaths and injuries occur during aftershocks, smaller earthquakes which occur shortly after the initial quake. So, staying sheltered is recommended for up to 10 minutes after the main event. Once sufficient time has passed, people should get to open ground, taking care to avoid falling hazards and especially glass structure such as windows.
Azim, that was fantastic. One aspect of your reading that I really enjoyed is that you were reading to us, not just yourself. What that means, I'm sure everybody recognized this, is that Azim was intonating, really paying attention to commas and periods. He wanted to make it sound interesting, so he went up with his voice, down with his voice, to emphasize different elements and parts of this expository writing. That was really good, Azim, and that's exactly what everybody should do, is mimic the reading style, right? So that was really well done, Azim, and your speed was absolutely fast enough to read a passage like this and answer 13, 14 questions afterwards. So that's great. Okay, Azim, two important points that I want to emphasize here. Number one, when you read a paragraph like this, and Anna mentioned this, a really good strategy is just to really kind of ask yourself, after you finish the paragraph, what is this paragraph about? And answer that question precisely in a concise, in a short way. So what is this paragraph about? What would be, so if I ask you this and I say, okay, what is this paragraph about? What would be your simple, clear, accurate answer to this question?
It's how an earthquake happened and what steps we should take.
Okay, so couple of suggestions here. Pay attention, everybody. When you are answering this question, what is this paragraph about? Avoid any question markers in your answer. So you said it's how an earthquake happens, right? It's almost like you're asking a question, right, to the question. So instead of using how, make sure that your answer is a statement. So have a very clear statement. So during an earthquake, these are the steps we need to take. That would be the statement form of what you're saying, right? Now, the other criticism that I have is it's not specific enough. So this statement that you're saying is more of a blanket statement. It might actually apply to multiple paragraphs in this essay. To avoid this, I'm going to jump to my second point here. Okay, when you're
Take
reading,
shelter. I think it
yeah,
is
you're getting
better.
better.
I say it's taking shelter in this step.
Yes, you're much better answer, but let me, so you realized it, right? You're like, oh yeah, no, there's a, as I'm talking, you're like, your brain's going and you're like, oh, wait a second. Yeah, I'm seeing that there's a better answer here now. Very good. That's exactly what I'm going towards. So what you want to do, everyone, of course, while you're reading is to visualize, right? So in this case, Azim, what should have happened in your head while you were reading this passage is you are in this situation. Okay, so I'm drawing you your stickman version of you, and there's a table around you. This is you under the table, by the way. I hope you can kind of put your other leg there. So hopefully you never experienced an earthquake that requires this, Azim, but anyway, you never know. So what you should be seeing is that you're in this room, you're under a table, you're covering your head, and you're thinking about running or crawling towards this door frame that's here if you have the chance, right? So you should be seeing all of this. And when you see this, so when you see what you're doing during this earthquake drill or earthquake event, then you can probably answer the question, or you should be able to answer the question of what is the paragraph about more accurately. And it feels to me like your brain already got there while I was explaining.
Yes.
So I'll give you another chance, okay? The quality of your answer to the question, what is this paragraph about, will decide how fast you can answer all of the questions in the IELTS reading and how many you're going to get correct. The better your answer to this, what is this paragraph about, the more questions you will get correct and the faster you will finish the reading. Okay, that's the trick here. So one more time, Azim, what is this paragraph about?
How to protect ourselves during earthquake and aftershocks. I use a question again.
You realized it. Now I'm gonna just hold it. Yeah. You're thinking good, Azim. You're learning fast and you're
Have it for
recognizing
me.
fast. So
Okay.
just give me a moment. How to protect ourselves during an earthquake and aftershocks. Yes. Okay. Much better answer. Now remove the question and make it into a statement.
Steps to protect ourselves during an earthquake and aftershocks.
That's your band 10 answer to that question. Okay.
After 2 times.
Well, you know what though? Yeah, it's fine. I mean, Azim, two important points here. Number one, we're all loving you right now because it's very common, these mistakes, and you're teaching everybody through these mistakes exactly what to do, and you're going through the perfect steps. So you're the perfect example for this paragraph here, Azim. So everybody should be giving you big thumbs up and thank yous for highlighting these
thank
points.
you.
That's number one. Number two, you're learning quickly. And number three, now that you recognize this, so now that you realize, oh, okay, this is the proper steps to identifying the concept of a paragraph, now you're going to be much more efficient. And when you do it 2, 3, 4, 5 times, you're going to realize that, oh, wow, I just improved like one band in my reading from understanding this concept and looking at the reading passages in this way. So, so once you get it, you get it. All right, Azim, that was fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you too, Mr. Adrian.
All right, have a great rest of your day, Azim.
Thank you for having me as volunteer, and you have a good day too.
Thanks, Azim. We'll talk again. Bye for now.
Okay, have a good day. Bye.
All right, that was Azim. Yeah. I like Ibrahim's like, good, bro. Yeah, that was good. Absolutely. All right, really nice. Very nice. Lots of thumbs up there for you, Azim. That was great. Okay, Alexander is here with us, and I think Alexander would like to read. Are you ready, Alexander? Let's give Alexander a shot here. Okay. We're going to pick up pace here, students, a little bit. So same concept, going through the rest of the body paragraphs is what we just did. Alexander.
Hello.
Hi, Alexander.
Oh, hello. Hello.
Good to hear your voice. How are you doing?
As good as I can.
Repeat after me, Alexander. As well as can be.
As well as can be.
Yeah, that's the better one. Okay, as well as can be. Alexander, you want to help me read a little bit here?
It will be my pleasure.
All right, let's do it. So I'm going to bring up the second body paragraph. It starts with one of the biggest factors. You should see that come up in a couple of seconds on your screen. When you see it, just start reading.
Okay. One of the biggest factors that affects the number of casualties in an earthquake event is the quality of the construction of buildings that people work and reside in. In areas with poor construction standards, these buildings provide little to no protection against earthquakes. In the major earthquake that occurred in Haiti in 2010, poor construction standards were to blame for a large proportion of the casualties. While our countries have higher standards, often these standards are not designed with earthquakes in mind. Many buildings may be built to an otherwise high safety standard, but be almost as defenseless as the Haitian buildings when facing a strong earthquake. In high-risk earthquake zones, all buildings must be constructed with an eye to earthquake preparedness. Buildings in areas such as Japan and the west coast of North America are constructed to shift a certain amount along with an earthquake. This elasticity allows the building to survive the earthquake instead of shaking
It's coming. Just give it a second.
and being knocked down. They are shaken and returned to their original place. This type of construction greatly minimizes the risk to inhabitants in the event of a major earthquake.
Great. Again, speed is perfectly fine here. So students, if you're reading as fast as Alexander, then you're reading fast enough to complete the passage and the questions in 20 minutes time. The number of answers that you get correct depends on your comprehension of the passage, not your speed. Alexander, what is this paragraph about?
It's about construction standards to protect against earthquakes.
Brilliant. Yep. Absolutely. That's the right answer. Right? So it's about the construction standards to protect against the earthquakes. Okay, now body paragraphs have a topic, have explanations, and have examples. Here, the topic is construction standards to protect against earthquakes. What's the explanation? In a simple way, what does this paragraph explain about the standards?
It explains the buildings should be prepared for earthquake like it's in Japan and North America.
Okay, so good, Alexander, that's good. What's important in this question that I'm asking you in this step is to be able to clearly separate out the explanation from the example. Exactly.
Yeah.
So you don't want to merge the two together. You want to have clarity, distinction. So here you said, okay, there has to be certain standards or procedures during construction whereby that's okay. So what's that standard? You double pronounce that word. It was one word. They even, I think, put it into quotation marks. So that standard means that the buildings should have
electricity.
It's a tough one, right? Elasticity. It comes from the word elastic.
Yeah, elasticity.
They're like rubber, right? They can move a little bit.
Yes,
Elasticity.
right.
Exactly. So 3 points that I recognize in the explanation here. 1, poor construction leads to death. 2, good construction doesn't necessarily mean earthquake proof. 3, earthquake proof means high standards with elasticity. That's the explanation that I got out of here. Now, the examples. So what were the examples that were given?
It was given the poor example or negative example of Haiti.
Exactly.
And positive example of Japan and North America. And let's say west of North America, right?
West coast of, North
West coast, yeah.
Exactly. So very good. So those were the examples, right? And if I can break the body paragraphs into these components in simple ways, it will empower me, you, the candidate, to quickly and effectively answer questions without having to search or skim or scan a ton of information in the passage, because you just know what it is, right? So, and you don't have to understand every word to do that. Often, as long as you understand 60-70% of the words, you should be fine. You should be okay. All right, Alexander, that was really good. Thank you for reading and helping me make those points.
Well, thank you, Adrian, for picking up me.
for picking me. I'm not going to pick you up because that means I would hold you like a baby in my arms. But
picking me.
But I did pick you. So, all right, Alexander.
Thank
you.
Have a
great rest of the day. Bye.
Have a nice day. Bye.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thumbs up for Alexander. We learn through our mistakes, everybody. And I know that a lot of students who are here regularly, like Alexander, Anna, and others, we make these mistakes and they're funny and we learn from them. So that's great. That's not a problem there. Okay. All right. Made or Maid. Sorry, Maid. I remember we've spoken before, Maid. Yes, you said it's Maid. All right. Are you ready? Let's give Made a chance here. We're going to move along nice and smooth. Now, students, for the next few paragraphs, it's going to be up to you to think about the what, questions and answers, the topic, sentences, the explanations, the examples. We're going to move nice and smoothly here. Hopefully, Made is going to respond here and we can get into some reading. And then we'll jump into the questions, because I definitely do want you to understand those true, false, not given, summary, completion, matching endings, the questions that follow this passage. So we will get there. We're not going to just spend all class on these paragraphs, so do not worry. Look at all those thumbs up for Alexander. That's great. Alexander, good job there. Made, I'm not seeing any response from you. I'm not sure if that's on my end. Would somebody else like to volunteer? If you'd like to read and answer some questions, let me know. Just in the chat here, right? So, looking for a volunteer. Maybe I have to refresh my page. It might be on my end. You know what? I'm going to do a quick refresh here and see if it's not something that's on my end. And then just send me a message. So I don't want to force anybody to volunteer. So to volunteer, just click this blue envelope that's next to my handle, which is Master. Okay, so find me in the list. You'll find me as Master. And then send me a message. Okay. Say, I want to volunteer. Let's see if there are any brave souls out there. I'm not seeing any volunteers. I wonder if it's a little bit unusual. I have a feeling that some of you are probably trying to volunteer. Okay, I'm going to, oh, there we go. May just volunteered again. All right, so I thought maybe it was feeling a bit weird. There's a lot of delay there. Anahita, try to refresh or shift refresh your page. Okay. Maid, I cannot hear you. So check your connections or your settings. It seems like we're good with the last few volunteers. All was good. Okay. Maid, don't hear you. Let's see if there are any other volunteers. Students, just do a shift refresh. Shift refresh. Okay. Anahita, if you're trying to volunteer, I can try to reach out to you. And then if you can see that, you can respond. Kind of strange. All right, anyway, well, I don't want to waste too much of your time troubleshooting. Continue to try to volunteer. I'll check back there. Instead, what I'll do is we'll go through the rest of the reading passage and we'll start answering some questions, okay? So here we go. The final form of earthquake preparedness is planning. Okay, so as the thesis said, we are now looking at planning. Students, read with me. People in high-risk areas must have a plan for what to do in the event of an earthquake, and they must plan beforehand so they have appropriate supplies to survive in the initial days after the event. The most important resource after an earthquake is water, and it is recommended people keep enough water for a week, approximately 28 liters per person. Food will not usually be difficult to come by, but water, which relies on municipal delivery systems, which are very likely to be compromised by the earthquakes, is precious. Other critical items such as medical supplies and personal documents should also be stored in a safe place so they can be retrieved after the event. Other measures which are useful to prepare for an earthquake are keeping a flashlight and whistle next to your bed, not hanging falling hazards such as picture frames over your bed, arranging a family contact person outside of your area, arranging a family meeting place, and identifying both hazards and refuge areas within your home, school, and workplace. What is this paragraph about? You can put your answers in the chat. I will check them in a moment and let you know what I think. Here's the next paragraph. In the event that you're trapped after an earthquake, do not struggle or kick up dust. Instead, try to make sounds such as blowing on a whistle or tapping on a pipe so that rescuers may locate you. If you have a mobile phone, use it to call or text for help. Earthquakes can be deadly. All the preparedness in the world will not help if a sufficiently large earthquake hits the wrong spot. What can be done, however, is to improve the chances of survival. Through education, appropriate construction, and diligent planning, countless lives can be saved. What is the conclusion about? Give the answer there, and I'll let you know. The previous paragraph, if you asked me what is this about, I would say, I can hear somebody volunteering. I'll check that out in a moment. So we'll look back for volunteers for the questions. Don't worry. So what is this paragraph about? The paragraph explains the necessary items and arrangements to prepare for an earthquake. Right? So we have that flashlight, medical supplies, water. So the necessary items, what you need to prepare. And the arrangements, like don't put picture frames above your bed, right? The last one, what is it about? It emphasizes the importance of education, planning, and construction to improve chances of survival during and after an earthquake. Okay, so that's what that paragraph is about. All right, and we've got a good idea now. So we'll get to these yes, no, not given questions. And it sounded to me like some more people volunteered. I heard my headphones pinging here. So let's check back to the website and see who those individuals may be. All right, let me close up that lesson there. All right, Maid's made some more. Okay, it's made. Error creating peer connection, type error, member. Okay, you know what? That's really helpful. I'm going to take that, Maid. Thank you for sharing that. I'll share that with our tech team and see what they can tell us why that error might pop up. So I'm making a copy of it here. Okay. Let me see if I can contact you now. So, Maid, if you hear it ringing, let's see if it works. No dice. Okay, Devi, let's see. It might not be system-wide, right? It might just be local, that type of error. So I'm not sure. Devi, if you're there, let me know. And of course, systems are always changing. Requirements are always changing for software. So it could be something new. So Devi, if you're there, let me know. And then you can help me with these true, false, not given questions and answers for this passage. Okay. All right, Debbie. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, sir. Hi, sir.
All right, Debbie. The system does.
So how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you? Debbie, are you ready to help me answer some yes, no, not given questions?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Awesome. Okay. So the steps to answering yes, no, not given questions. First, you have to figure out if it's given or not given. Do you
Yes,
know
sir.
how,
Yes.
Do you know how to do that, Debbie?
Yes, sir. We need to see the questions whether it is important or not. If it is yes, then we need to say is it true or false.
Beautiful. Debbie, you're paying attention. That's awesome. Can you read number 14 for us?
Okay. Most earthquakes are strong enough to cause some damage.
So here, within your head, Debbie, you're probably asking yourself, is it important to know about the strength of earthquakes in this passage? So for this passage, should we know about, how strong earthquakes are? Is it important in this passage to know how strong earthquakes are?
I think no, sir. I think because the earthquake.
Let me ask you a different way, Debbie. Let me ask you a different way. In
Okay.
order to prepare for an earthquake, do you need to know about the strength of earthquakes?
Yes, sir. Yes, definitely.
Right? Absolutely. So now you realize that, oh yeah, of course, this has to be in the
Yes.
passage, right?
Yes,
Because
yes, sir. Yes.
to prepare for an earthquake, we need to know how strong these earthquakes are, right? So it's got to be in the passage. Okay, now,
Yes.
so now you know, okay, it must be given then, right? And now you can ask yourself, is it true? So is it true that most earthquakes are strong enough to cause some damage?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Debbie, think carefully here. Think carefully. Okay. You know about the Richter scale, so measuring earthquakes, right? I think it goes from 1 to 10, I think, right?
Yes, sir.
They have 5 point, 6 point. Okay. How strong, do you know how strong an earthquake has to be for you to feel it? Roughly how many points it has to reach on the Richter scale?
No, sir. No.
No? Okay, then this information might be important. You might have heard it at some part of your life. Okay, here, let's do it another way. When you hear about earthquakes in the news and they tell you that this earthquake was this magnitude or this size, usually how big are they? So what numbers are they usually saying when you hear about it in the news?
It would be on the most high scale, sir, like around 8 to 9 or 10.
Right, so the ones you usually hear about are like 7, 8, 9, 10, right? You don't hear
Yes.
about,
Yes, sir.
have you ever heard about a 1 or a 2 or a 3?
No. 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 No, sir.
No, right? And most earthquakes, do you think most earthquakes are 7, 8, 9, or do you think most earthquakes that happen are 1, 2, 3, 4?
Most earthquakes are definitely like around 7, 8, or 9.
Wrong. Most earthquakes, thank God, are only 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So this and this is the tricky part, right? Where if you don't know this, you don't know this. So then you have to look at the text
Yes.
to figure it out, obviously. But you
Yes.
do know that it's given. So at least you know it's given. So you know
Yes.
you have to
Yes, sir.
check, right?
Yes.
I'm going to help you out here a little bit. We have thousands of earthquakes every day around the earth, and most of them are just a 1 and a 2 and a 3, and thankfully we don't feel them and they don't cause damage. Okay, rarely they go really high, and then those ones are the really bad ones.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Here, you'd have to go back. It's kind of in the introduction. It makes sense that this is somewhere in the introduction. And then in the introduction, read this second sentence. You'll see it come up in just a moment. Though earthquakes most of the time.
Though earthquakes most of the time are only weak tremors when are not even strong enough to knock picture frames off walls. At
Okay.
the strongest earthquake can destroy entire cities, killing thousands and displacing millions.
Right? So this sentence tells us that most of these earthquakes, they don't cause damage, right? Now you have to be careful with skim reading, because if you're looking for the word damage, you're not going to find it. The answer doesn't use that word damage, right? So you have to understand it from this sentence, that they are not strong enough to knock picture frames off walls. So now you know that the answer to this question has to be no, right? Because it's
No.
false.
Yes.
Okay, Debbie, let's do another one. Number 15, go for it.
Okay. Okay. The strongest part of the room is farthest away from windows that can shatter.
Okay, this question. Is it important to know what the strongest part of the room is?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Right. What is the strongest part of the room according to the passage?
The strongest part is obviously walls, sir. Walls.
No. Were you in the lesson at the beginning, or did you join more recently?
No, sir. Actually, I've joined 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. So you missed that. I figured that much because you missed that part. Azim was reading this. When Azim was reading, I even drew the little picture of it. And
Okay.
you would definitely remember if you saw that little picture. I think somebody in the chat might recognize what it is. That, oh, okay, number 15, I remember that. So this is important. According to the author, the strongest part of any room is generally the door frame. So the frame of the door is the strongest
Okay,
part.
okay.
So in an earthquake, you want to stand under that door frame or shelter under the door frame. So here the answer again would be no. Okay. A little bit tricky though when you when you're not in the start of that part. Okay, let's give you one more here. Number 16. Go for it.
Okay, your head and neck are the weakest parts of your body and must be protected.
Okay. Is it important for this passage? Ask the full question. Is it important for this passage to know what the weakest part of your body is?
I think yes, sir, because we need to duck our heads under the tables so that we need to protect our head.
What is the weakest part of your body?
Head, sir, head.
I've got a pretty hard head. I've hit my head a few times, and it's still in one piece. I disagree with you. I don't think, and you and I, we're men. I would say there's another part that I would protect faster than my head in a fight.
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
So I'm not sure if I would say that's the weakest part of my body or the most vulnerable part of my body, right? It's a tough question. It's hard to say. Our back can be very vulnerable, right? If we have back injury, our groin, it's called the groin area, that can be, our eyes can be. So it's hard to say what part of our body, our heart, our chest, our stomach can be considered a weaker part of the body, but it's not protected by bones, right? So it's really hard to say. So in the IELTS exam, you really want to be critical when you're looking at these questions, okay? So in this question, and these are, you got tough ones. I'll be honest with you. These are tough questions. So your head and neck are the weakest parts of your body and must be protected. First of all, is it important to know what is the weakest part of our body? No, it's not.
No.
Because in an earthquake, the vulnerable parts, which are your head, are protected because it's falling objects from up high. But it's not necessarily the weakest part of your body, right? It's a very tricky question, but the answer here is it's not given.
Not good.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, you got it, right? How do you recognize that? One way you recognize that is you realize that it's really hard to identify what is the weakest part of our body. There's no real clear answer to that. So when you have a statement in the true, false, not given, where you realize that that's really unclear, like there's no good answer to that, there's a very good chance that that's going to be a not given.
Not, yes.
Right? Because it doesn't make sense. Okay?
Yes, sir.
There is no weakest part of your body technically. It depends on the situation, right?
Yes.
The inside of our body is weak, right? Like, obviously. All right, number 17. Let's just finish it off, Divya. So number 17, go ahead and read that for me.
Okay. Aftershocks are incredibly dangerous.
Okay. Aftershocks are the little earthquakes that can happen after the big earthquake. Is it important to know whether these aftershocks are dangerous or not for this passage, for being prepared for an earthquake?
Yes, sir.
I agree, 100%. Of course, we hear that all the time, right? There's an earthquake and then there's more quakes. From what you know about the news, maybe hearing it from other people, are these aftershocks dangerous that follow the earthquake?
Yes, sir.
So the answer is?
Yes, sir. Answer is yes.
Okay, I'll take that yes. Yes, it is. Absolutely, right? So this is probably, in this case, interestingly, one of the easier questions. So
Yes,
it's
sir.
no, not given, yes. Okay?
Yes.
The key to getting these true, false, not given questions right is take your time. Don't rush. So spend about 30, 40 seconds on each of these and really think critically. Like really think, okay, your head and neck are the weakest parts of your body. It's easy to jump first to that idea like, yeah, that's true. But then you realize like, oh, wait a second, is that true? Right? Your head has a skull.
Yes.
Your skull is very strong. So, right?
Yes, sir.
In an earthquake, it's a vulnerable part of your body, but it's not a weak part of your body, right? Okay,
Yes,
Divya, thank you so much for volunteering and helping me with this. That was great.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. I'm kind of a bit of nervous to answer the question, but I'm not really into the passage because I was 10 minutes ahead in the class. So
Not a
that may be the
problem.
reason.
Yeah, Divya, not a problem. Mistakes are the way we learn, number one. Number two, the other important point here is with true, false, not given questions, I don't want to recommend people to do this, but you can actually figure out a good number of them, like half of them, maybe even more, without even doing much reading. So if you have really good logic and you think about the title and the topic of the passage, and then you think, is it important or not important? Once you practice this technique, you can actually answer with a 70, 80, 90% degree of confidence correctly without even reading. And you can try that. I don't recommend doing it on the actual exam, but when you're practicing at home, you can actually try that technique where you look at the true, false, not given before you read the passage, and you just look at the topic or the title of the reading, and then you go through, is it important, not for this topic? No, then not given. And you can check, am I right? Does it work that way? So test it out, okay?
Yes.
All right. Divya, have an awesome rest of the day, and thank you for
Thank you,
volunteering.
sir.
Bye for
Have a
now.
nice day, sir.
All right, that was Divya. That was really good, and it was a good example of how those can be figured out. All right, so those are the true, false, not given. I hope that kind of helped people to understand that concept. Okay, right? Everybody got it? Yes. Keshu Chokal, make sure that you're writing yes for the yes, no, not given. You're not writing true, because they'll mark it wrong if you write true. Okay. All right. Okay. So we're kind of running out of time here, so I'm going to let you answer the next two question sets, the completing the sentence endings. There's the questions. Here are the choices. Okay, and here is the summary completion question with the possible answers. You can pause the video after this class and answer those. And you can send me the answers to this email address, and I can give you the answer key, okay, to see whether or not you answered them correctly. For lots more practice exams and strategies, definitely check out the websites. Okay, everybody? The websites are aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. Once again, on the home page, make sure to click the big red button, or in your My Student account, you can click those red buttons to join the premium version of the course, everyone. Thank you so much, volunteers. Thank you so much, everybody, for your patience. I can see there were a couple of technical issues there in the class. So hard to figure out what those could be, but we'll get in touch with our dev team and see if they can give us further insight. Tomorrow, everybody, 2 classes. The first one on YouTube, first live classes on YouTube, right here. It's speaking part 2, cue card, members chat class, right? Everybody should watch, and then speaking part 3 will be on the website through the live chat interface there. So definitely join us for both of those live classes tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to seeing you there, and have an awesome rest of your day. Bye, everybody.